Welcome to Demystifying Divinity with Joanna and Jenny.
Hi, my name is Joanna. I channel messages from Spirit in order to help people remember who they are so they can embody their power.
Hi, I'm Jenny. I use intuitive astrology to help people remember their blueprints and soul contracts. And together, we're demystifying divinity, one conversation at a time.
Hello, everybody. This is Joanna with Jenny on Demystifying Divinity podcast, where we talk about a whole bunch of different things to make the whole idea of spirituality be a very normal, very normal, very everyday thing. So today we have an exciting subject about attachments, and oh boy, do we have galore of opportunities to release attachments right now. So I'm going to give it away to Jenny. She's going to start with a little bit of the astrology to tell us the potency of what's happening with the planets and how it's all helping us to address some of the limiting attachments we have been attached to for a very long time. Hi, Jenny.
Hello, thank you. Yes, coaching with the cosmos. Let's start there because we're all feeling it, and my phone's like blowing up. Whether it's clients, whether it's on Instagram, whether it's text messages, it's like, what's going on? Why do I feel this way? And we used to just blame the moon, right? We used to just blame Mercury retrograde, and that was fun.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's different. Okay. And I know, Joanna doesn't know tons about astrology. I'm slowly but surely teaching her all the things.
Mm-hmm.
But it's so funny because I've been watching Joanna for so many years here on YouTube, long before I knew her personally, long before this beautiful podcast was born. And so she'd be doing her YouTube energetic updates is what they were, what they are, was what she does. And I always was blown away. I'm like, well, that's exactly what's going on in the cosmos. So you don't even need astrology. Bottom line, nobody really needs astrology. For me, I find it so validating, especially in these crazy times where there's so much energy, there's so much going on. And that's why I just wanted to open this podcast with a little bit of an intro. So
It's a tool like any other. It can help us make sense of what the hell is WTF, what's going on.
What is effing going on right now?
And you've been talking about the plans this year. Just give us a quick synopsis of 2025.
Let's just do it. 2025, I've always said, is 2 + 0 + 2 + 5 = 9. So we know about basic numerology. That means endings, In the tarot, the 9 cards are always end of a cycle. So it's like, you don't have to go. That's a quick Google search. Like, what does 9 mean? This truly is like, we are ending so many things. And that's why Joanna and I really want to talk about attachments in this podcast, because I've sure gone through it. I know Joanna's gone through it. So many relationships have ended. If it's not happening right now, then they have recently, even in recent years, preparing us for this time. Relationships, circumstances, that which is not serving us. Right? Whether it's a person, a place, a circumstance, and it's difficult to make those changes. And I got news for you. There's more changes coming in the 2025 astrology. Shall I take it away?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I've said this so many times, whether you're following me on Instagram or the YouTubes, there are 5 outer planets. 4 of them. 4 are changing signs in 2025. Now, for those of you that aren't astrology buffs, you're thinking, that sounds interesting, but I'm just saying it's never happened. Okay. Please try and tell me a time in history when this has happened.
Like, it's not like it hasn't happened in 5 years. It's never happened.
It just hasn't happened. Okay. And, the 5th being Pluto, god of the underworld, he went ahead and did it. Yeah, he went ahead and did it just at the end of 2024. So he almost joined the 2025 party. He was just getting us ready for the 2025 party. Pluto is the furthest, and it is, I love Pluto. I'm Pluto, please, if you're listening, and I know you are.
We're not mad at you. We're not mad at you.
No. However, Pluto kills things off. Okay. So, kill is a strong word, but it is the death card in the
Mm-hmm.
tarot. And, when the death card comes up, it doesn't always mean someone's dying. Sometimes it means I'm not trying to be fear-based
Yeah.
here. What I'm
Yeah.
trying to say,
Metaphorical death. Yeah.
metaphorical deaths, friendships, your house, like, did your house burn down? Did your landlord say you got to get out?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Can you no longer pay your mortgage? That's a death, Uh,
Correct. Yeah.
your marriage is over. Another death.
Yeah.
Your friendship.
Or you were let go from your
Job.
company, from your job, just to realize now you get to do what you really want to do. Because otherwise, if you've been holding on to it, you'd be a little safe in your little box. Oh, no, I do that later. That's what happened to me. But anyway, I digress.
Thank
So,
you. I thank you
yeah.
for that story. We all have stories of being fired, being dumped, house burning down. Maybe, not a lot
Yeah.
of us.
Yeah.
I'm bringing up the house burning down thing because of,
Because
the
it happened to Len.
tragedy.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Those
Yeah.
people are, yeah. What
That's
about the
a,
ones who don't have the insurance? Like, oh my gosh, my heart goes out.
yeah.
So it's this energy of the death. That's what Pluto brought to us. This is the age of Aquarius. Pluto started this whole party, started the whole trend at the end of 2024. And now there are the rest of the outer planets. There's 5. So the rest of them are also changing signs. It's a lot of air. It's a lot of fire element, air and fire. And I did predict this. I was actually on Joanna's membership, which is a private group. And I did a chat just like this, but in a little bit more depth. And I did say I predict, fires because I live in we both do. We live in Western Canada, and every year the forest fires get worse here in Western Canada. And so when a fire starts, because every summer we have them here in Western Canada, so when a fire starts, it's bad. We're all like hopeful and stuff. But if that wind comes in, you better get out of the vicinity,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
So I predict it because there's so much air and fire coming in with these planetary changes that, yeah.
Yeah.
Lots
The
of-
Yeah, and Jenny isn't saying that your house is going to burn down. It's a lot of it is No, we're not saying that. We're basically saying 2025 and Pluto is all about transformation. So as you're talking, I'm seeing fire and air, and I'm seeing the Pluto energy uprooting things that were dormant but now need to be seen. It's like, I don't want to see that.
Yeah, like my whole reason for bringing up the forest fire analogy, not to say there aren't going to be forest fires, but not
Yeah.
saying that. I'm just saying it's fast. And
Mm-hmm.
so this energy is fast, a good fast too. Like Joanna said, you lose your job. Okay, well, you might quickly transition into a completely different career that you didn't see coming. And it's going to happen like within the year of 2025. And you're like, how did this happen so fast?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The transformations, the transitions are fast. Manifestations are happening faster than ever. I'm sure you can say the same
100%.
with your clients, right? So it's a fast energy. It's fiery. Fiery is all about passion, very passionate. And how many people I have, just even in my own personal life, friends will tell me, the friends that are cheering me on, they'll say things like, I'm so proud of you because you're actually doing what you love.
Mm-hmm.
Here I am in this total crap job, and it's like kind of crushing my soul. And it's
Yeah.
like, so it's that passion. It's like building in all of us, and you'll see people going toward passionate roots, and it's going to be fast, and it might be shocking. So I will mention the planets when they're changing. Neptune's going into Aries, a fire sign, March 30th. That's like the day after the eclipse. And eclipse energy, well, that'll be another podcast. I mean, eclipse energy, I have so much advice about eclipse energy. Spoiler alert, don't manifest, don't do anything, just watch what comes, what goes at an eclipse. So again, it's the day after the eclipse. Neptune goes into Aries on March 30th. And then Saturn also joins the Aries party May 24th. June 9th, Jupiter into Cancer. July 7, Uranus into Gemini. So Jupiter in Cancer is water. So I am predicting water floods as well. Again, yes, by Mother Nature, but
Mm-hmm.
also flooding of emotions. Like this is going to be a flood of tears, of like getting the emotions out. And so it's all happening fast. It's all happening, a lot of changes. So when we do experience things like the loss of the job, or the friend breaks up with us, even if it's been like 20 years that we've been friends with them, my greatest advice is, can you please remember my voice telling you this? Can you please be the observer and just be like, well,
Mm-hmm.
isn't that interesting? Like, as quickly as you can. I know it's hard to become that observer. Oh, I know. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
step
Mm-hmm.
into observer role right away when a friend dumps me after 20 years. Trust me.
No, not easy.
No, I don't. But if I could give some advice for this year, it was using the word opportunity, like we talked about in the last podcast. Know that this is an opportunity. I'm not trying to silver line you. I'm not trying to silver line you, but know that it is an opportunity. And as quickly as you humanly can, become that observer, because we do have to adjust with
Mm-hmm.
the changing times.
Mm-hmm.
Do you agree with my advice, Joanna?
100%. And what you're talking to is the idea of attachments. You are likely going to see your old attachments coming up.
Yes.
So when I was grabbing a drink before we came on the camera, I my guidance said, well, let's talk a little bit about the idea of attachments. What do we mean by attachments? And I think you talked to it at the beginning. But basically what we're talking about, the idea of attachments, anything that we are holding on to physically, energetically, emotionally, spiritually, that is limiting our expression. Because we have healthy attachments. We want those. It's the ones that are limiting or unhealthy that we are needing to go snip, snip, because those attachments are going to keep us in the old energy, which means, and you'll let me know if that makes sense, astrology wise, the energy on this planet is changing no matter what. If we hold on to the limiting, all we're going to experience is a lot more resistance, because the world is changing and we just have to adapt. So things will come up in order to be addressed in forms of unhealthy attachments. I had one happen just a few days ago, and it was, okay, there it is. Ugh.
Yeah.
But a few days later, once I worked through it, I'm not all the way through it, but once I worked through it, I just shared with Jenny, I had a realization, oh my God, releasing that attachment is actually, I feel like it's freeing me to experience more and more abundance, because whatever and whoever I was attached to in an unhealthy way represented a lot of scarcity, right? So if I'm attached to something or someone that limits my expression, although I have to say it differently, they're not limiting my expression. I am limiting my expression by being attached. So it's my job. It's my job to let that go so that I can experience more. So likely you guys are going to have that come up in your face, limiting attachments. By the way, as you were talking about the water, the element of water, I wrote water leaks. So it may be a time when we might be experiencing some water leaks, like car leaks or pipe leaks or anything like that. Does that make any sense?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because I was getting that way. So, yeah, the idea of attachments, what we want to let go of is the limiting attachments, and we want to keep the positive ones. We want to have a lot of positive attachments, not to be attached, but we want healthy attachments. And attachments make us feel safe, they make us feel solid, they make us feel stable. So, attachments in and of itself is not a bad thing. It's just, is it a limiting attachment, or is it one that actually empowers you? Right? For example, speaking of God, we talked about that in the last episode. If you have an attachment to the idea that God will punish you, then you will be likely fearing God. God doesn't want you to fear it. God is all unconditional love, right? So releasing the negative programming about God punishing you will allow you to have a different relationship with Source, with God, so that you can experience Source God to the fullest. Right, but we first have to look at the negative belief system, the limiting belief system. What are
Yeah.
some of your attachments that are coming up right now?
My attachments are plenty, and I even within relationships, anxious attachment and avoidant attachment. I love it, and I think that we should all become a little bit more aware of what attachments are in relationships as well as in our everyday lives. And I have so many, and I've been letting go of so many. The other thing in the astrology I will say is that the North Node is in Pisces, and so it just happened. Now we've got 18 months of the North Node in Pisces and the South Node down in Virgo, the opposite end of the zodiac. So just to let you know, if everything I ever say about astrology goes in one ear out the other, no problem. North Node.
Which is mine right now, is in Pisces right now.
You are having a nodal return because you were natally in your natal birth chart, you have North Node Pisces. So this energy is encouraging all of us. So everybody, whether you have it in your birth chart or not, encouraging all of us to let go, let Goddess. Forgive it. Let it go. Yes, even that guy. Yes, even her.
Yeah.
All of it. Let it go, forgive, and get to that place in our lives. So, like, what an amazing time to work on our attachments. And the cosmos are always, whether you know what's happening in the sky or not, this is the theme of the year. Is maybe I didn't even mention, like, I'm saying, okay, so these 4 out of 5, they're all like changing something, but what does that even mean? Well, we're so used to the sun moving fast, the moon moves fast, Mercury moves fast. We get used to these feelings. And if you don't even believe in astrology, well, when there's a full moon, the hospitals are full. The kids at elementary schools are crazy. Like, if there's a full moon on Halloween night, look out, people just know this, right?
Yeah.
And so these are the personal planets. These are the planets that are closer to us. So we feel it, become accustomed. Now these outer planets truly are out there. And so we're not as used to the energy. So when they change a sign, it's like, oh, we feel, what is
jarring
on? And Mother Gaia shows signs that she's feeling it too, because she's a living entity, and things like fires and things like floods. So again, I'm not trying to be fear-based, but we all feel when these outer planets change a sign. And with all this air and fire, I mean, I think we can all agree that time's flying. Like, for instance, it's already February. Like, it's these things, even stupid little things, like I put on the laundry and it's an hour 15 cycle, and I swear to God, it's dinging, and it was like, what was that, 15 minutes ago? Like, I feel like everything
time warp
faster.
And
so when we have something like losing a job, or the friend dumps us, or the marriage is over, and it might not be as big as these things, but it might be as little as, like, oh wow, my belief system is, what? Like, I have believed this A, B, C, and D about politics, about religion, and it's like, maybe I need to let that go. Maybe I need to stop focusing on the negativity of the so and so political blah blah blah, or something like that.
Yeah, you know what?
Things.
I just heard maybe even we can even let go of our attachments to anger. I want to be mad. I want to be angry.
Being right. Maybe we need to let go of the attachment of being right.
Yeah. That's a tough one for the ego, because the ego always wants to look at me, right? It's just, it's just an ego thing. But when you're talking, as I'm getting, the energy is very concentrated this year. And we've talked about this before. I got a download at the end of last year that 2025 was going to be a very pivotal year. A lot of, I want to say shakeups, but it doesn't necessarily mean anything bad. But during shakeups, things come up that are unstable, and we either deal with them or we don't. If we don't deal with them, we're stuck in the old energy. And if we're stuck in the old energy, but new energy is coming forth, all we're doing is we're resisting what's inevitable anyway. It just makes the process so much more painful and so much harder.
Yes.
Right. So the example that's coming. Let's say you have a negative attachment to money. What's a negative attachment to money? Well, money is evil. Yeah, no, money is just form of an exchange. what you do with money, that can be an ill intent. But money in and of itself it represents certain things, but in and of itself it's nothing. It's the power we give to it. So if we're attached to the idea of money as being something bad, and we want to experience a lot more abundance, we have to let go of that attachment. We have to let go of the idea that money is evil or money is bad, because naturally anything that we deem as bad, we're going to want to get rid of it or not want to do anything with it, right? And that's a form of attachment, right? It's a limiting attachment, right? On the other hand, if you want to have a positive attachment about money, think of yourself as someone who is already abundant. Internally, your own value, you are irreplaceable. Irreplaceable. There's no one like you in the entire universe. You're unique. And quote unquote, God made you that way. So you have a valid reason for being the way you are. And just recognizing that beauty inside of you and seeing yourself as abundant on the inside, naturally the flow of that energy has to come back to you from a 3D experience. Right? Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's the second house of astrology. It's all about worth. Once you work on your self-worth, that's when the flow of the money exchange can come in. So if people have a lot of planets in their second house, they came here to learn just exactly what they love.
I find that the whole idea of unworthiness is a bit of a, well, it's not a bit of, it's like an epidemic. So many people are fear, and it's a deeply conditioned belief. And oftentimes when I work with clients, they're not even aware that they have these unworthiness issues because they keep telling themselves, no, I'm worthy, but they're experiencing something polar opposite. Right? So it's not, it's always almost always what's on the unconscious. Right. But anyway, there's a lot of unworthiness and the whole idea of being unworthy. But, if you think about like even not all, but some religions, which I won't mention names, from the very moment you're able to understand, you are basically taught that you are an unworthy person. You're born with sin and you're basically screwed from day one. Okay, thanks, God.
It's uplifting.
Yeah, it's uplifting. Yeah, and then you have to spend your entire life to beg for forgiveness. Okay, but I didn't do anything.
Oh, sorry, I was born.
Yeah, sorry, I was born. I remember, speaking of this, I remember when I was about 7 years old, 7, 8, somewhere there. I was already a little bit in starting to understand this whole thing about religion. And the whole idea of going for confession never freaking makes sense to me. And I remember one time I was at church and it was before communion, so I had to go and, talk about my sins. And I remember thinking, why would I be telling something to another person that's just like me? That's number one. Number two, what sins do I have? I'm 7 years old. It didn't make any sense to me. And, the whole idea of if you're smoking, it's a sin. If this is a sin, it's that. And I remember going to a cataclysm once. I'll never forget this. And I don't know, I just went to walk around and I saw my priest standing with a woman smoking a freaking cigarette. I'm like, wait a second. What's going on over here? That doesn't make any sense to me. This person who tells me that smoking is sin is actually doing the thing he says I'm not supposed to.
Do as I say, as I do.
And I remember in that moment, it fucked with my brain. I'm like,
yeah.
What?
That's hard to compute as a kid. It really is.
It's because you believe your authority, right? Yeah. So it can be very confusing. But no, God doesn't care if you smoke. If it hurts you, I probably wouldn't advise it. But it's your experience. You do with it what you want. God will accept you anyway. Fucking love the shit out of you anyway, because it's unconditional.
Absolutely. I love that. I love the grandfather example you gave in the last podcast. And I will say also about the planets. The planets do love us. They're there to give us opportunities for growth. Because if we just stay the same, if our beliefs stay the same, imagine if I was still thinking the same thoughts, if I was still believing the same things that I did 20 years ago. Well, that is not an evolved human being, right?
Yeah.
Like we're all here to change our minds and We're all here to grow. And my greatest tip on this extremely energetic year
Mm-hmm.
is, again, it is an opportunity. Can we please see it as an opportunity? Become the observer, take the step back, because this is a vibrational universe. Everything is a vibration, right? And so are we going to stay low? Are we going to meet our fellow human low, or are we going to continue to come up, right?
Yeah.
Because if you're going up and then the old boyfriend or whatever, and then you match the energy, right? And it's like, no, where are you going to go? Where are you going to go? It's all an opportunity to become the observer, to see where you are, and
Yeah.
to, because it is the opportunity to rise. There are beautiful opportunities to evolve this year, to change quickly, to manifest quickly. So if we can keep our eye on that prize, again, I'm not trying to silver line the heck out of you, nor am I trying to be fear based, but I'm trying to give this to you on a bit of a silver platter to say, yeah, it's going to come in hot. It's going to
Mm-hmm.
come hot.
Yeah. As you're talking, I hear somebody potentially asking the question, well, how do I know that something doesn't serve me anymore? Honey, you know.
You
Let's
know.
start with the basic. You can feel it.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
And
You
believe me,
know.
I stayed in relationships way too
Mm-hmm.
long.
Yeah.
Way
Yeah.
romantic and friendships, and stayed in jobs that I knew, oh, this is not right. But, you're getting the pension or the benefits or
Yeah.
whatever, it is, you know,
Yeah.
no.
It could be, and I'm getting another type of an experience. When we talk about releasing and letting go, it doesn't necessarily mean a breakup with somebody. It doesn't necessarily mean that. But it does mean a shift or transformation to the way the relationship has been up until this point.
Yeah.
So if you're in a relation, and I don't know why they're giving me this example, but if you're in a relationship right now and things are it's either you have outgrown each other or perhaps the relationship needs a reset,
Mm-hmm.
right? And relationship is always based in two parts. You bring your part and your partner brings another part. So in this example, letting go of something that doesn't serve you could be potentially letting go of the way you see yourself in a relationship. So, for example, if you see yourself in a relationship as a victim, then that is going to have a corresponding experience. You have a corresponding experience. When you start shifting your awareness and you no longer see yourself as a victim, then you will show up very differently in that relationship and you will experience something very different. So you may not, doesn't mean that you have to get the heck out of the relationship. It could simply mean shifting in the way you see yourself in this example, and that will naturally shift how your relationship is going forward. Right? So it doesn't have to necessarily mean physical endings.
Doesn't mean it's over, but
No,
yeah, like
correct.
holding on to a victim story is another really good example of that. Like, if you're in a relationship and you guys are good together, but you constantly bring up the whole thing about how your father treated you, right?
Yeah,
And you've got stories and you keep telling the stories. That's keeping your relationship at a certain level. And, whether your partner tells you or not,
yeah,
it might be time to drop the attachment to the victim story.
yes,
So I'm
yeah,
seeing that a lot too with the clients that I've been working with. So attached to the story. And it's
yeah.
like, because you think it's like a way for a person to understand you deeper, but really it is an attachment to something that
Hmm.
is for serving you.
Yeah. Also, and I think you mentioned this earlier, the attachment to needing to be right.
Yes.
And there's a famous saying, well, do you want to be right or do you want to be happy? That doesn't mean that your word is invalid and that what you say is invalid. But if you're attached to always needing to be right, well, then that has something to do with your own sense of insecurity and invalidation. So you have to work with that. Does it make sense what I'm saying?
Oh, I
Yeah.
love
So
it.
I think what I'm feeling is that this will come up. We learn the most through relationships anyway, but I have a feeling that a lot of this stuff will come up in relationships. And I'm
Yeah,
hearing, yeah, because you guys, we are ready for version 2.0,
we are.
you
We
know?
really are.
Yeah.
And just, yeah, like you said, it doesn't. not everybody's going to have these huge, like your house is burning down.
No.
Not everybody. And a lot of people have been working on this stuff and been feeling the energy rise for a long time. Like, hello, we know what happened in 2020. That was obviously a huge shift. And yes, there was a big astrological conjunction at that time that all of us
Yeah.
astrologers were like, what is this? So, and we're seeing that again now. This is the first time I've seen that since that 2020 conjunction.
Mm-hmm.
Seeing that again now, 5 years later in 2025. And all of us astrologers were like, sure, we have the predictions and stuff, but it's more like, this is something.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
This
Mm-hmm.
is something to note.
Yeah. And I mean, I know because I've heard this, and I'm sure you probably have examples too, when we were going through the pandemic and people were all, together with each other 24/7, things came up. I mean, a lot of people broke up. My relationship with my partner actually got stronger. We actually said, wow, not only did we not kill each other, we actually did quite well being in the same place. And we actually got closer. But this, that time brought up we had to face so many things and we had to adapt because it was a massive change that was happening.
Yes.
Right. And unfortunately, it happens to be a very turbulent one. This feels different. This doesn't feel like a pandemic. It feels more like an internal kind of a feel, not so much externally driven, although I'm sure there's going to be some external drivers, but huge opportunity to your point that this is a massive time. I'm hearing the word to reboot. So why do we reboot a computer? Because we wanted to kind of reboot it so that it functions better. Yeah,
Open.
exactly. Open.
I keep talking about the vibration and giving you, for those of you that are listening and not seeing, I keep moving my hands up. And I'm not at all saying like people that are raising their vibration are better humans. No, it's just so many of us are feeling it that we need to do this vibrational work. Like we're feeling it deep in our bones that we really have to get clear on how we're feeling, what are our values and our we need to work on our vibration. We're feeling it very strongly because when we're around something like, you're out in traffic and you get cut off and you get road rage, like it feels so bad when you like it feels like it's stranger than ever to go to that low level. I find when my vibration does lower extremely, like I almost get nauseous now. Like I can't tolerate it anymore.
It's very jarring. It's very jarring.
Very jarring now. It always was to get cut off and stuff like this. But I do everything in my power now to move through the emotion, transmute the energy like as quickly as I can, and I can do it quicker than ever now. So that the vibration can be raised back up.
Yeah.
Because that's what we're all being encouraged to do.
I wanted to just to tag to the point that you were making about the vibration of neither being good or bad or somebody being better than you. No, think of it this way. When you're pissed off, you feel a certain way. When you're in love, you feel a certain way. Doesn't make you a bad person if you're pissed off. Doesn't make you a good person you're pissed off. You're just pissed off. But it feels a certain way. When you're vibing in this higher in love energy, it feels way better. Doesn't make you a good person, doesn't make you a better person, doesn't make you a lesser person, or somehow it's just a different vibration. It feels differently. So getting away from okay, I'm less spiritual, I'm more spiritual, that's an ego talk. It's how do you want to feel? Yeah. Now, sometimes we enjoy feeling angry. Some people love going to horror movies because they love getting freaked out. Not my cup of tea. That's what makes them happy. But I bet you they wouldn't want to be in that state of anxiety 24/7 because it does not feel good. Right? So yeah, go ahead. Feel pissed off, feel angry if you need to, and I'm sure you have your reasons for it, but then give yourself permission to experience something more. So don't deny how you feel. Allow the expression of it in a way that's good or positive and not hurtful. But then give yourself permission to feel something better. Because at the end of the day, I have never heard a client say to me, can you help me feel more like shit? No, it's always, I'd like to feel better, you know? Nobody ever says, I want to feel less happy. I want to feel more angry. I want to feel more resisting. I want to feel more bitter. Nobody says that because it doesn't feel good. Right? But to your point, it's when you get hit with that lower vibration because you're in a higher vibration, it just means that you're living more in the heart. When you get hit with the lower energy, it's very jarring. It's jarring for me too. But I used to live in that energy 24/7. Didn't know any different.
Yeah. I used to be, especially when you're in your 20s, like lots of drama, lots of crisis creating. I think a lot of people in their 20s move through that. I can remember those days. And it's the drama. People are addicted.
Yes.
People are attached to drama.
Yeah.
And now, like, I find that like I don't enjoy gossip at all, and competition, like things that were sort of normalized when you're a younger woman.
Yeah. Definitely things are changing, and to your point, changing fast.
Fast.
So I think we're good with this one.
That
I
was a
hope.
good one. Tell us, did you like this kind of chat, and us bringing up our personal examples and stuff, and how we're feeling the energies? And did you like the astrology update? Because I can certainly bring more of those. There's tons of astrology to talk about this year.
There is so much to talk about. So whatever you guys feel like you want to listen to or hear, give us your ideas, because at the end of the day, this is for you. We love being the delivery girls, if I can use that analogy. I don't mind being the delivery girl. I actually quite enjoy it, but at the end of the day, it's up to you. And the whole point behind all of this is literally demystifying divinity, just making it a very normal thing each and every day, which basically what it means. We're all part of God. We all have God within us. We communicate with God all the time. We're just not always conscious of it, or we believe that we can. Right? So letting go of those limitations, I think, would serve us good. All right, my lovelies. Thank you, Jenny. And we will see you guys on the next episode. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. And please share this fab convo with someone who you love.